So let's go ahead and get started. We wanted to go over some general security concepts. This is kind of stealing good artist's copy. This is kind of stealing the idea that the student services put together last year where they did the student services roadshow. We're kind of doing this similar type of deal here where we're taking a bunch of different security related concepts and we're working with IT. We're really grateful that they were willing to work with us on developing a security session for the for in-service today. So we're going to try and take about 15 minutes each and go through these different security presentations. We've got the SOC and some of the information regarding the CEI SOC that we're building over at the Yellowstone building first. And then we'll move over to Ashley with IT going over the phishing and web, or the email and email hygiene, and then phishing attacks and what that, how you can help yourself and others spot those. And then we'll come back around over to Don looking at just general internet safety and hygiene, so and risk reduction. So I'll kick it over to Don Williams and we'll get it going.
All right. So let me see if I can get this to share screen correctly here. Expand that. Okay. So this is for all of you tech people that are here. This is kind of designed for the school at large, so that we have a lot of people that will gain more familiarity with what this is. So what is this SOC all about? What does all this stuff have to do with SOCs? A lot of people have been talking about this. We've been talking about it a great deal for the past semester or more. Yeah, it's not going to play for me. There we go. So we are setting up what is a security operations center. And in fact, no, this doesn't have anything to do with SOCs. No special SOCs are required to work here, anything like that. This is actually all about cybersecurity. It really does knit nicely into what's been happening with our cybersecurity center that we have over here and the things that we're developing. To go back historically, way back, of course, a good example of this is the NSOC, National Security Operations Center. I was going to throw the link in here, Josh, but I don't know if anybody will be able to click on it from this presentation. But this is the nation's Security Operations Center. Of course, ours isn't going to have the cool lighting. And the original version of this dates all the way back to the early 70s, really, when this was first developed. And it's been around for a long time, even before we had computers, that there's been a place where we've been able to centralize the gathering of information and what that information means. Is it threatening to us? Is it not? Et cetera, et cetera. What this developed into today is a chance for us to actually look at what's happening on networks, especially with the advent of the internet, and what information is being passed around, what kinds of programs and everything else. I think I'll go into that. So stepping up forward a little bit from that history to what affects us here, of course, there have been some things that have happened over the past few years that have basically facilitated the development of our SOC. First, of course, is the implementation of our cybersecurity program. And in conjunction with that, it was heavily developed in conjunction with the INL. The next step, a couple of years back, we had kind of a major coup for a community college, and we actually won a piece of the INL's supercomputer that they were retiring. These are actually pictures of our supercomputer that we have downstairs here in the Yellowstone building. Basically, they are stacks of 20-odd servers that we've been able to utilize. Now, these are designed, of course, to act as a single unit. So we've got 20 individual servers that can be combined into one massive brain. We are currently utilizing one of these as individual servers that will better fit the purposes of our Security Operations Center. And are people not seeing the screen shared?
No. I got the initial screen. You might try sharing that monitor. Are you sharing the application or the monitor?
Should be the application.
Try taking it over to the display instead and see if that'll keep up with your slides.
Let me switch here, hold on. Okay, better?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. All right, good. So these are the actual pictures of the supercomputer from the INL. And we were, as I said, fortunate enough to be able to win a couple of the sections of that. There were, you can see the two on the picture on the left, those racks. There were probably, I can't remember the actual count, but I think it was over a dozen of those that were incorporated together as the INL supercomputer. We got two of those, which is really, like I said, it's kind of a big coup. Some of these went to places like MIT and ISU and major universities and such, and we got a couple of pieces of it. So that was kind of a big step forward in us, enabling us to have the kind of infrastructure, the background that we needed to be able to create this. The next thing that was a little bit unplanned for us, but worked to our favor, was the implementation of the Yellowstone Center over here. How that enabled us was basically we were able to better plan our space. We initially designed a specific NOC, or a Network Operations Center, that we would utilize for our classes on a regular basis, storing some of our equipment. That quickly became an open space that we were able to say, you know what, this will work for the SOC as well. A place where students will be able to go in and participate in what's happening with all of this wonderful stuff that we're setting up for this Security Operations Center. So on the right here, you can see a picture of where our NOC currently is, where the SOC is going to be. And finally, all of this is coming together with the use of the supercomputer and all these servers that we have available. We've set up a structure where we have many servers that will be able to house virtual machines. Picture walking into any office building, and you will of course see dozens, if not 50, 100 computers on everybody's desks. And of course, in the background that you can't even see, there's a server or multiple servers providing different kinds of resources to all these people. Basically, we have the ability, with all of this space that we have, we'll have 8 terabytes of space available that we can produce virtually any kind of environment that we want. We can have all kinds of PCs running. We can have all kinds of servers running in the background. And we can even have these configured and set up to be doing normal daily activities, sending an email, copying a file across, various things like that. And servers that are doing specific tasks like providing different services, email, databases, all kinds of things as well. So simulating almost any kind of business environment that you can imagine. And then we have our SOC, where we will have the ability to look at this network. Essentially, all these computers and everything are functioning on the network. We can monitor all the traffic that happens in this network from our SOC upstairs here at the Yellowstone Center. We'll be able to see everything that happens. We'll be able to analyze that traffic, monitor what's happening under normal circumstances, and see when something changes. If something that shouldn't be happening starts happening, we'll be able to monitor that, see what's happening. And the point of that, I say that the Queen's we, that applies, of course, to students. This is an environment where students can practice using the tools that they would use in the real world to actually go out and monitor any business's network and see what's happening in their network. what's normal, what's happening when things are functioning on a daily basis, and again, watching for those things where this is not normal traffic, or there are things that are available on your network that perhaps shouldn't be. So basically, the environment you're looking at here is inside of our NOC, where we have, yes, we have multiple of these large monitors available. Like I said, no cool lighting like you saw in the NSOC, but we do have the large monitors so that students are able to sit at these desks, have laptops that they can be looking at specific things, traffic that's happening, etc. And when something pops up that they want to be able to share, hey, what's happening here? We can put it up on the big monitors so that everybody can see it, and then actually start looking at what that traffic really means, isolate what's happening. Is it a real live attack? And what can we do about it at that point? Of course, on top of that, all of this is available for anybody to come by the center at any time. There's a big, nice picture window that we have that you can always look in. Whether we're using the SOC or not, you'll be able to see what's happening in there. Ideally, as students are actually using this, that'll be the really fun part, is people will be able to walk by and view what's happening as the students are actually working on viewing what's happening with these networks. And on real time can go in and see that they're participating and using some of these tools, getting used to these hands-on before they go into the real world. So that basically is a quick overview of what this SOC is all about, the Security Operations Center, providing our students an opportunity to get more of the hands-on, building on all those fundamentals that we get in our program, now taking the next step into the cybersecurity realm before they actually go out to employers at this point. Okay. Shut that down, and that should stop sharing. Okay, Josh, back to you. That's a quick over that. We can, of course, if anybody does have questions at any point, you can always forward those on here, or we can cover those at the end as well.
Yeah, why don't we put the questions in the chat, or you can hold them onto them till the end, and then we'll go over all of those. Thanks, Don, for that quick, awesome overview of what a SOC is. Ashley has a series of slides and examples regarding phishing and email security, so we'll kick it over to Ashley if you're ready.
Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be going over phishing and spam. You guys probably have noticed that we're kicking up our phishing drills again, doing the monthly emails, kind of letting you know what's going on and all that. So we're going to go over it a little bit. If I can get on the right screen here. So starting with spam, it's kind of like junk mail, but for your email. It generally is not super specifically targeting anyone. They're trying to reach a mass audience and just kind of get whatever engagement they can. They're not fishing after you in particular, or your coworker in particular, just whatever they can get, they're trying to get. And they normally try to advertise a product or maybe solicit business from you. They can send you things over and over. Sometimes they do it from different accounts from like the same domain. It'll be, you know, Jennifer one week and then Josh the next week and then Ashley the next week. And chainmail is actually a form of spam too. I used to get that a lot when I was a teenager and first got my email. You know, those sign this petitions and then send it on to 10 friends. Sign this or your mom's gonna break her back kind of things. Here's some examples. So you can see here, this one is kind of like a chainmail. You send it on for good luck, you know, so your spouse doesn't get hurt because someone else's spouse did. And then this one, they are more generally trying to get your business. They're not necessarily trying to get anything from you, like your bank account, your social security number. They're not trying to have you click a link. They're just generally marketing towards you in an effort to get you to interact with them. So we have in Outlook If it's spam, if they're not really like a big threat and they're just more of an annoyance to you, you can block a sender for your email. So if you're getting something from whatever, a website that's trying to interact with you over and over and over again, you can block that sender. You can block the domain. You can take care of it. And you can do it in both the Outlook app on your desktop, and you can do it in the web version of Outlook. So there are options for you there. And then phishing is more what we're kind of trying to train on and keep everyone up to date on. It is more dangerous than just spam. They're usually looking to get something from you or have you click on a link. They're trying to target you specifically, or maybe a higher up, like Rick, for example, probably gets some phishing, trying to get his login information because he's an important person at the college. They do usually try and make it look like it comes from someone legitimate. So you could get an email from Rick that is looking like it's coming from him, but it's not. And they're generally trying to get whatever they can from you, and it will normally be addressed to a specific person. They will target you specifically, or maybe a department like the business office, financial aid, someone, there's some area they're just trying to get anyone from that area to interact with. And they often do try to create a sense of urgency, like whatever they want from you is important, so that you don't really think through it. It's, oh, this is important and I need to take care of it. And that's why they try to make it look like it comes from someone legitimate as well. If it's someone above you, you're more likely to take care of that right away. And so this is a phishing drill we actually sent out. And it's one of the easier ones we sent out. But you can see here we did set it to specifically target Nancy. The grammar is not great. That's another sign of a phishing attempt, that things are just kind of crammed in there. They're not super thought out all the time, but they are still trying to create that sense of urgency with the emergency situation going on. And the attachment could be anything from a virus to malware to anything, anything trying to get something from you. So to combat this, we have the Phish Alert button, and you should have the Phish Alert button. We ask you that you report any phishes you think are trying to target you with that button. It will send all the information you need in a ticket to us, and it will remove it from your inbox. So there shouldn't be any more threat to you. It'll get it out of your way. You don't have to take care of it at all. It'll be sent to us, and you should be good. You can get this in Outlook 2016. It should be generally up in the right-hand corner on the Home tab. It's normally between the OneNote and the Store buttons. If it is not there, let us know. You can also do it in the web version. You have to click into the email, and then the 3 dots up in the right-hand corner, and then you come down here to Phish Alert. That will also create a ticket. You can also do it in the app, although it is a little bit more hidden there. You also have to open the email, and then the 3 dots in the right corner, the Phish Alert button, and you actually have to click Phish Alert to report it. But it is available to you no matter where you get your email. And then finally, just general, if you're unsure if an email isn't safe, delete it or report it. Don't click on anything you are absolutely not sure about. Even if it looks like it came from someone, if you're suspicious of it, if you're just not getting a good feeling, you can contact that person directly, not through the email that they sent you, but if you have a trusted email, if Rick sends you something and you just don't have a good feeling about it, call him on his number that you know is his number and it is him. Open a new email and send it to him, the email that you know is him. You always have the option to reach out to that person before dealing with the email. If that's not available to you, report it and we can look at it. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Especially sometimes we have people who will report a phish and it was sent to a lot of other people in the company, and that gives us the chance to kind of jump on it and get ahead and let the people know what was sent to. Hey, you did get a phish, please just delete it, report it, don't touch it. And if you get one like at home and say it's from your bank, then if you don't trust it, you always also have the option to open up a web browser, go to your bank the way you normally do, and check any message that might be in your dashboard, anything that you're not sure of. You can go to the website yourself and check. And if it's legit, that's great. If it's not, then you saved yourself a lot of hassle. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. One of the things that's come up repeatedly just in my time over the summer working with as a researcher with the INL, it was brought to my attention there many times, also in a lot of the research that I've seen over the last year and in the continuous bulletin boards and news that I'm seeing in the security arena, is that spam and primarily phishing attacks are usually the number one way that companies are getting owned or hacked, is because they have employees that are falling victim to these phishing attacks. So it is, I hate to just throw a number off the top of my head, but I want to say it's somewhere between 70 and 80% come through phishing. So it is a major deal to be aware of these phishing attacks, because that's one of the primary ways that the social engineering is what we call it in our security class. But that's what they're doing, is they're trying to trick their victims into falling for these phishing attacks. And the use of the urgency thing is really a big key. I mean, you'll see that also in your advertisements with marketing. They use that sense of urgency to get the consumers to respond quickly. And the phishers are doing the exact same things. So making it seem very important and very urgent. So it's important to be aware of that threat. And I'm glad that IT is doing these phishing attacks, because that has been shown to actually mitigate some of those threats. By having that regular training, we can reduce the risk that we're facing via those phishing attacks. So, yeah, and Chuck made a comment here that happened in a previous institution, and it was through phishing. And I've seen in just the local East Idaho news, that's been the method for several organizations around here, is it's been through the phishing attacks. So, all right. We have Don Casper going over web hygiene and reducing risks. And if you're ready, we'll kick it over to you.
All right, I'm ready.
Go for it.
Okay, let me get my share going. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, I'll start it from the beginning then. All right, so I've got internet hygiene and reducing the risk of lost or compromised data. And I think a lot of it, of course, from the college, we can have a lot of data for students, et cetera, and ransomware that comes in sometimes with our internet browsing. But from your standpoint, it's probably going to be more of a financial kind of a thing, or trying to steal your identity. So I put together a few slides here. My wife is into antiviral things with herbal fixes. So I just had to put that up there. Did you know that a slice of red onion in your DVD drive is an all-natural way of protecting your computer against viruses? I probably wouldn't advise you to do that, but I thought I'd put a little humor in here to make it a little lighter anyway. But anyway, so what is internet hygiene? Cyber hygiene is a reference to the practices and steps that users of computers and other devices take to maintain system health and improve online security. Like Josh was saying earlier, 70 to 80% of the attacks that come through are going to be because of people's mistakes, whether it's through internet or email or whatever. Ransomware that's where it's going to come in from. Is it probably from an email or something that a user does? You go to the wrong site, you click on the wrong thing, etc. And down you go. Okay, so much like physical hygiene, cyber hygiene is regularly conducted to ward off natural deterioration and common threats. So that's what it's all about. I want to keep my machine as clean and my network, especially my servers, as clean as I possibly can. And because most of my access to my servers is going to be through my individual machines, that's the workstations, that's where I want to focus on. So some key steps for good cyber hygiene. Install reputable antivirus and malware software. And don't just install it, but keep it updated and then run regular scans. Now, I realize that sometimes it can drive you crazy when you've got real-time scanning going on. You've got these little things popping up all the time saying, hey, this is, we just caught this. I know Norton does that. It likes to shut you down for 10 seconds or 10 minutes or whatever, your internet, when it sees but you can adjust that. But I think it'd be better to catch it and kill it, or at least prevent it from doing the damage. And I'll put up with a little pop-up once in a while rather than try and recover from ransomware. So I'm going to make sure that that antivirus and the malware. See, we get those two kind of confused. They're two different things. Malware is bots. Antivirus is a virus that's designed to do something. They do have similarities, but they are distinctly different. And so you have different tools to clean those up. Step 2, use network firewalls, both on the network and the individual PC. Every PC has a built-in firewall, and you can set that up to control traffic in and out. Now, obviously, a lot of things, ports and things like 480 and 443 for internet access are going to be open, but you can shut down an awful lot of the other things that or ports that hackers will use to try to get in to your system. You don't need to let them even get through the physical network firewall, let alone into your individual machine. And so you've got that option available to you. So check that out. Now, if you don't know how to set up your firewall on your individual workstation, check with the IT department, call us, talk with us. We'll help talk you through that and show you where to go to adjust that and to set the rules that allow traffic in and out of your network. Okay. Step 3, update software regularly and keep the OS updates current. Now, I am a little touchy about updating using Windows updates, especially on servers, because I had them break my servers quite often. But there are tools available like WSUS, or that's Windows Server Update Services, that you can run on a network, so that you can control how those updates are pushed out to your servers or your workstation. But the software itself, codes, hackers find holes in codes in anything. It can be an application. It can be a patch or a DLL on the operating system itself. So if I don't keep those things updated, that means that I may have a hole that a hacker can use to get in and take control of my machine and do whatever they want with it. Of course, and then I'm in trouble. If they can get a hold of my workstation, they can probably get to my server. And if they can get to my server, then that's where they're going to hit the gold mine. So I want to keep that updated and configured properly. So step 4, and here's where it really falls apart sometimes. Set strong passwords. Minimum length, upper lowercase, numbers, letters, and special characters. Now, if you're on a network, you probably have a password policy so that you have to meet certain requirements for your passwords. But that's not always the case. I had a customer whose every server and every workstation had the same 3-letter password. And it was obvious because it was part of the company name. But that's what they wanted, and I could not convince them to change it. They got hacked and they got hit. They learned, and after that they were, usually that's all it takes is one hit. But the more complex I make that password, the harder it's going to be for somebody to be able to get into my system in the first place. Now, I realize this may not be directly, linked to my internet access, but if someone comes to my system and it's sitting there and they log into it, especially with my passwords and username, they're going to have access to whatever I have access to. So I want to make sure I use strong passwords. Number 5, you can use multi-authentication, multi-factor authentication, passwords, biometrics, smart cards. There's a lot of different things that are available out there now. And I realize that it is a hassle to have to go through this. You know, if you have a P card now with CEI, every month you have to make your report. You have to go through a two-factor authentication, which just simply makes sense. It adds another layer of authentication on there. It doesn't just double the security; it's a geometrical. I mean, it raises the chance of getting hacked. The idea that you may get hacked a lot more than just double the protection. So it really adds a lot of protection to your system when you do that. Step 6, employ device encryption, especially on mobile devices. If I have a user that travels, especially if they've got a laptop or something like that, I'm going to want to make sure that everything that's on that machine is encrypted. And not only just the encryption on the files, but I like to use the full encryption of a volume, so that the whole device drive is encrypted, so they can't even pull the device out and stick it in another machine or something and try to read it. That way, they've got to have that key in order to be able to open those files. Just makes good sense, and it's so easy to employ now. And it used to be that it was a big deal to set it up, and sometimes it'd slow you down and all that, but it doesn't anymore. So it's just it's a good idea to employ that device encryption. Now, on your one at home, is it important? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. It depends on what kind of data is on your system, I guess. So, but yeah, employ that device encryption. Step 7, this is one of my special terms for my students. I'm always telling them, back up, back up, back up. Back up regularly. If you take a test from Microsoft, they're going to recommend that you have 3 backups, one on-site, one off-site, and one in the cloud. The nice thing about it, if you have one on-site and the building burns down, you can pull the one from off-site, and use it. If everything goes down and you're in the Bahamas on a vacation, you can go to the cloud and pull your files down at any given time. I've had customers of mine that the only reason that they survived a ransomware attack was because I have every one of the customers that I take care of, I push them into having a cloud backup. And it has literally saved more than one of them thousands of dollars, because they didn't have to pay those fines. We just rebuilt their servers and downloaded it off the cloud, and we had it, and they were protected. So it really is a good way of beating that ransomware. All right, step 8, keep your hard drive clean. Need to work on it once in a while. Run the check disk. Now, I understand the SSDs, you don't run the same kind of tools on the new solid state drives as the old mechanical ones, but we can still run the tools that are available to check that out, defrag it to make sure there's nothing there. And when I talk about drive clean, also, I'm going to talk about going in and getting rid of files that I don't really need. It's amazing when we start looking through our hard drives and see what we've saved and how much of it is just junk, and we're never going to look at it or use it again in our lifetime anyway. Why are we using it to take up space? So we keep that hard drive clean, and that also helps prevent if I get something on there that I didn't put on, that the bad guy put on, I might be able to find it and get rid of it. Step 9, secure your router. Now, if you've got an internet access at your house, you have a router. It may just simply be a little D-Link router that fastens up to your service provider or something. But it never ceases to amaze me how many times I've gone into a business and they've had a problem with their router, or we've needed to set up some firewall rules. And I ask them, what's the username and password for your router? And they say, well, we don't know. We just plugged it in. So I go on the internet and there's the admin name and password, the default, and I use it and I'm in. That is ridiculous, but it happens all the time. Change your default admin name and password, even if it's on your one at home, especially if you're going to be doing things like at home banking, financial deals. We all buy online now. I mean, it's just kind of become a way of life with us. So I'm going to change that. I don't want them breaking into my router and taking control of that, diverting my traffic. Oops, step 10, always log out when you leave your PC. How many times do you walk around somewhere and somebody's gotten up and gone to lunch and there their PC is all logged in, and you sit down and you can just mess with them and play with them all day long, or get into whatever they have access to. Now, you might say, but I have a screensaver on it. Well, that's true, but anything that you have started with your user information is still running in the background, running as you. So if they can get control of your machine, however they do it, okay, they're going to be able to get past that. They don't have to be able to log in as you. They've already got access as you. So if they can get into it. So the screensaver, that really doesn't provide that much protection. There's other ways around that. So, log out, go through that. We drill that into our students too all the time. But sometimes it's kind of fun after a class. I'll go around and make a list of everybody that leaves them in, and then I'll put them on the wall of shame the next day because they left their machine on or logged in. Step 11, turn off unused services. Bluetooth. If you're not using it, turn it off. Removed unused applications. When I talk about Bluetooth, now it's not as important as it used to be, but Bluetooth is very easily hacked. It doesn't take much to hack a Bluetooth connection. I remember one time at the B-Sides conference, we had the guy get up and he got on his laptop and he started calling people out in the audience there and telling them what files they had on their laptops and different things. And because they'd left their Bluetooth on, he was just making Bluetooth connection, hacking into their systems and looking at their files. And it really drove the point home that sometimes when we open these things up, it's not as secure as we think it is. I mean, we might think we have it covered, but we really don't. So turn off those unused services. Why run them and use the resources anyway? Okay, let's see, what is that one? Yeah. Step 12, clear your browsing history and shut down your browser when you're done, especially if you've been going to your financial place, your bank, you've been checking your credit or your bank balances, or you've been paying your credit cards. Don't leave that browser up and running when you're done. In fact, most of them will tell you when you're done, shut down the browser just to make sure that there's nothing kept there. And I want to clear my browsing history. And I know somebody's going to say, why? You don't want your wife to find out where you go on the internet? I'm open to her. She can come in and watch me get on the internet. I don't care about that. But I want my browsing history cleared. I want to keep all that out. I don't want there to be anything hanging in there that's going to cause me problems later, or maybe allow access where I don't want access. So I'm going to clear my browsing history. If you need help figuring out how to do that, just let us know. We'll talk you through it. It's pretty easy. Step 13, and this is one where we always fall into a problem. Don't use your wireless connection for online banking purchases or anything else, especially if you go into, Starbucks or McDonald's or wherever. When you think about that, it's a wireless connection that is out there where everybody can see it, everybody can grab a hold of it, and people with the right tools can get a hold of that transmission. They may be able to get your username and password and get into your account. It just doesn't make sense to do it over a wireless connection anymore, but yet we're starting to become so used to it that we do it all the time, okay? If I do have to get onto a website and I'm going to be using any kind of connection or any kind of secure connection, whether it's wired or wireless, make sure that it has the HTTPS protocol. So at least that it's using SSL. Okay. Then you'll see that little padlock up in the corner where that shows that you've made a secure connection. Or you could take advantage of some of the new products that are out there, like NordVPN or some of those others, where you can actually set up a VPN with your sites like that, which is a virtual private network, so that it kind of protects you. It encrypts the data as it goes across, and it just makes sure that you're secure. So I've had a little experience with that. Most of the time it works well. Once in a while you may find a place where you won't be able to make the connection using it. They won't support it, but that's on a site-by-site basis. It's not everybody. Most people they understand if they're professional. They understand the idea and the need for this security. So that's just a few things I wanted to put out there. But then when all else fails, I guess you could put this kind of a add-on to your computer. It's the latest innovation in office safety. When your computer crashes, an airbag is activated so you won't bang your head in frustration. I kind of like that when I saw that. But there's sometimes I've felt like that. Only I don't bang my head on it. I want to bang something else a whole lot harder. But anyway, this idea of internet security, it's common sense more than anything else. Think your way through it before you click on that, before you go to this place, before I use my iPad at Starbucks to log into my bank. I got to stop and think, do I really want to give the bad guy my information? So it's really just common sense more than anything. And that is the end of that. There we go. All right, back to you, Josh.
Thank you, Don. Lots of good stuff. I really appreciate both of the Dons and Ashley putting these presentations together and giving this for us. Are there any questions that anybody has or comments regarding anything that we brought up today?
David said humans are always the easy target, which is true.
That's how it works.
The exploding blue regarding PC maintenance. Well, so many things that cause that it's just that can cause that.
Yeah, these issues that we've gone over, a lot of it is just common sense to watch out for. Don't connect to the coffee shop Wi-Fi and then pay your bills. Like, even if it is HTTPS, there are man-in-the-middle attacks for those secure connections. They exist. They're out there. That's how the IT department is able to monitor those secure connections that we're using on campus. It's the same technology that's being used there. So just because it says HTTPS does not necessarily mean that you are safe. So think about those things. Do I really have to pay my credit card bill from the coffee shop? I can probably wait till I get home to do that. Those kinds of things are really important. Let's see, Jacinda's got a question. Is the Geek Squad a good place to take your PC? Depends on who you ask. We have had students that have come through the Geek Squad and have come to us to get additional training. We've had some that have gotten placed there. So I guess it just depends on what exactly your needs are. If you've got some more advanced stuff that you're looking for, you're probably going to need to go to one of the other firms in town. But if you're looking for basic PC support, Geek Squad can handle that pretty easily. When you start looking at, network maintenance and operations and bigger jobs and things of that nature, you're going to need to go to some of the private firms. There's quite a few of them if you search online. We can certainly recommend plenty. Uh, Frankie's got a good question for Don Williams here.
Don't go there, Josh. Don't go there.
Oh, it's his favorite. Come on, take a bite of the apple. Come on, come on.
I was given this for Christmas. I don't know if you can read it. People who know me well.
Yeah, Jacinda, I see that you put on there that it was legitimate question, and it was. The reason we were laughing is because it's kind of a joke with us and Best Buy and the Geek Squad, and so that's why we were laughing when you asked that, and I like Josh's answer. It was right. Yeah.
I am pretty much sold on the solid state at this point, unless I need a lot of storage. That's like the one exception. So, but I like the access times that solid state gives. It's a lot faster. So when you look at the higher performance systems, they're going to try and put flash storage because it's immediate access. So but for our SOC, we use flatter drives, by the way. But we have 14 of them. So that kind of shortcuts that access time when you've got 14 different controllers accessing the drive at the same time. The RAID array in the SOC is going to be in a RAID 6, and we'll do, it's a 16 bay NAS. It's an iSCSI NAS, and it will have 14 of those drives participating in the RAID 6, and then 2 of those extras will be hot standbys to swap into the RAID array. So that'll give us 16 terabytes. Don, do you remember, were they 1 or 2s?
I think mostly we had ones, didn't we? And
I think they were 1s. They were reds.
Yeah, in addition, all the ones in the supercomputer, those are all mirrored 1 terabytes. So we have 8 terabytes, but that's 16 terabytes worth of space. But that's all mirrored, so that information is protected as well. We shouldn't lose any virtuals, no matter what happens.
Oh, and
a lot of space.
That reminds me, we also found in our subscription, we've got with our VMware that we're setting up for the SOC and the supercomputer, we've got vSphere access. So we'll be able to make those operate as a cluster in the supercomputer. So, and Don and some of the students have been going around and installing those ESXi installations onto those supercomputer servers. So we'll just stand up the vSphere and join them to that, and then they'll basically operate as one logical device. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Good questions. Okay, I think we are about time. So I appreciate everybody for coming to this one. I will figure out how we pull it down, and then we can send a video off to IT to make available for the rest of the faculty and staff.